The Disaster Artist tells a story of how Tommy Wiseau created the best, worst movie ever, The Room. So let's get into this review of The Disaster Artist. If you guys like Blu-rays, Funko Pops, movies, and free stuff, consider subscribing to my channel, Just Watch Movies, and hitting that bell notification down below so you don't miss a thing. This is based off of a book written by Greg Sestero, who also starred in The Room as Mark. James Franco is directing this movie, and he also stars as Tommy Wiseau, about how they made The Room and how they met each other in San Francisco, moved to Los Angeles, and funded this movie on their own. I recently sat down and watched The Room for the first time, and I'm easily convinced that this is one of the best movies ever made. It is so bad, it is good, and I can't get it out of my head. So with that, I was curious about The Disaster Artist. I love James Franco. I thought it was pretty cool that he could star alongside his brother, and Dave Franco can star alongside his wife, and then we would get this movie about how it was made, and I was really curious about it. And I gotta say, it is a pretty moving, impactful, touching story. It honestly makes me think of The Room in a different way. I thought The Room as a really, really bad movie, but it's fun to watch, and it's like not intentional that it's a comedy, but it kind of is. And so when watching this movie, I have a different view of this movie. He had this vision for The Room. He wrote it all by himself, and he got his friends to star alongside him, and he wanted to create this real Hollywood movie, and he had put so much effort into it. And it just makes you view the movie a little bit differently, because when you watch it, like, that is so bad, why did he come up with all these ideas? And then you get to see it kind of just pan out in front of you. It just makes you think about it differently, because it's kind of touching that this guy, you know, he wanted to go to Hollywood, he wanted to become a big time actor, and this didn't really work out for him. People just said, no, you're not going to be an actor, you're pretty much like a villain. Who would ever think that you could be in a movie? He said, I don't want to listen to any of you, and I'm going to make my own movie with my friend. And he made this movie. He funded it all by himself. He directed it. He wrote it. He did all these things on his own. And it's kind of inspirational that this one guy that people said no over and over again said, hey, I'm just going to do it. And he showed it in front of a bunch of people. And now they have midnight showings all around the world that sell out for this movie. And I think that's crazy that this guy did all that and it's still being talked about. There's actually an interview with some other actors in the beginning of this movie, and one of them says, The Room was released over 10 years ago and people are still talking about it. People really don't talk about the Oscar that won that year. It's that impactful. And helping out the story is definitely James Franco. James Franco is the perfect pick to star in this movie and direct it, because a lot like Tommy Wiseau, James Franco is very passionate when it comes to his movies and his art that he is in, and he gets lost into the role of Tommy Wiseau. The first couple minutes I'm like, oh, that's James Franco, and he's doing these impersonations and he's having fun with it, and then he just like completely becomes Tommy Wiseau in the middle of the film, where I forget that it's actually James Franco. He looks like him, he has the hair, the clothing with the big belts and the big jeans, he has all that, and the accent is just spot on. And everybody else in the movie does a really great job. I think that Dave Franco did a pretty good job as Greg Sestero. He looks like it, so he looks like him surprisingly. You also have Seth Rogen in this movie, who did a really good job. Everybody in this movie felt really good in their role, but James Franco is definitely the standout as the main star of this movie. This movie has it all. It's dramatic at times between Tommy and Greg, and Tommy thinks that Greg is not seeing his vision. It's hilarious when they're showing behind the scenes of the alleyway scene in The Room, or the You're Tearing Me Apart Lisa scene. Watching those unfold in front of us, it's hilarious because we've seen the movie. So it's dramatic, it's hilarious, it's touching, it's inspirational. This movie really has it all, and it covers everything so well. I was so pleased with The Disaster Artist. It was a really interesting film because I've always heard about The Room, but I never got actually a chance to see it until a few days ago. I watched it, and to come out and watch The Disaster Artist and see how it was kind of filmed and different things like that just makes you see it in a different way. And it's interesting that this movie was actually made, and they're actually making a movie about one of the worst movies ever made. That's got to say something about The Room. The Disaster Artist is easily one of my favorite films of the year for how the story was told, the effort that was put into this movie, the motivation, the passion into this movie. It all worked really well, and I'm going to go ahead and give The Disaster Artist an A. If you guys have seen The Room, and if you have laughed at The Room, if you have loved The Room, you should definitely check out The Disaster Artist. It tells the story in a touching way, and it's inspirational. It's kind of sad at times too that people really didn't see his vision. They made fun of him, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he didn't listen to what people had to say. And I've watched some interviews with Tommy Wiseau too, and he said that, you know, if I can get people to laugh and love the film, then I'm good with that, because we need more love and laugh in the world. And he's a great guy for just coming out and saying that. So definitely check out The Disaster Artist if you guys have liked The Room or have actually seen it before. Definitely check this movie out. Thank you guys for checking out my content. I got a lot of more movie reviews, ranking videos coming your way. Got some special guests coming on the channel in the next few days. Got a lot of things planned for December before the new year. Got a lot of lists coming your way as well, like best and worst lists of the year. Can't wait to get those lists out for you guys. You guys are the best as always. Thank you guys for making 2017 a great year. Still got a few more days before the end. Can't wait to see what 2018 brings. You guys are the best as always. This is Just Watch Movies, and you stay classy, YouTube.